at Innovate Tech Summit 2025. We are glad that for all of you to be here. We thank God that it hasn't rained today. Yesterday it rained and it really took the program back. So maybe just to give us context, my name is Victor Otieno. I'm the Managing Director at VIFA Consult. Our focus basically is supporting MSMEs as well as startups in terms of policy support. So a lot of you who are entrepreneurs don't have time to engage in policy. A lot of us are busy coding, working hard around their businesses. So as VIFA Consult, we pride ourselves as an entity that is able to support policy discourse on behalf of startups and SMEs in Kenya. We also work quite a bit with the entrepreneur support organizations in terms of using evidence or research to be able to design programs that interact with both SMEs and startups. So the entire essence of this platform again is one, just basically two in terms of outcomes. We want to be able to create economic opportunities for young people. So we know the statistics around labor. We have over 1 million young people entering the labor market. Jobs are very scarce. So a lot of us, we always receive CVs every other day. My son, my daughter is looking for work. I mean, there is no way we can be able to take this. So instead of complaining and calling the government names, we said, let's take action. So what model can we be able to use to be able to allow for us to be able to create economic opportunities for young people? So our hypothesis is two ways. Number one is startup corporate partnerships. So you realize conversations around startup ecosystem are most skewed towards investors. So you hear, people will come talk big, a lot of speeches. Startups will come on board, make big speeches, give why value proposition, why you need to invest in them. Again, looking at data, if you look at statistics, also investment, because it's looking for a high ROI or very quick payback period, it's only a certain number of startups that get investments. So again, we can't go with that trajectory. What we realize is private sector, in terms of corporates, are not very big in terms of this space, other than a number of maybe one or two telcos and one or two banks. But the rest of the corporates, especially even family businesses, are not in this space. So we contend that if we are able to have conversations between startups and the people who are supporting startups with corporates and find a way in which we can be able to get shared value, we believe this is an approach that can be able to unlock a lot of value from startups. That's number one. So that's how this platform is very different. Number two is we have county governments as well as national government that are trying to design programs to support entrepreneurs, whether they are startups or MSMEs. Again, looking at the strategic plans, looking at the MTP IV, which is the medium-term plan 4, or the famous BETA, looking at the CIDP, which is the County Integrated Development Plans, all of them have the aspiration of supporting entrepreneurs. The question is, how can we be able to leverage on private sector development partners and entrepreneurship ecosystem to be able to support them achieve that mandate? So that it's not a question of us against them. So, Mandamano, let's go. I don't like the governor, I don't like the chief officer, I don't like this. I don't think we can be able to achieve much using that approach. So it's a collaborative approach, and you can see across all panels. Even from yesterday, we were able to bring, and we continue to bring different stakeholders within government, both within county as well as national government, as well as the different agencies. Again, the idea is to have conversations. So, like we have Joseph here from the Commission of University Education, who is a good friend. Again, it's just a conversation. So it's not a question of confrontation, it's just how do we support you achieve the mandate. And the idea is not for us to either be confrontational or to share games, but to explore how we can be able to support each other with the two main goals of economic opportunities as well as seeing how we can be able to support government achieve its mandate. So ultimately, after all conversations are done, we want to be able to practically explore how do we then collaborate as an ecosystem to be able to achieve these two items. So we've been able to curate a good mix of partners across different sectors in government, so we don't see that all sectors are linked to a certain ministry. So if it's education, you can see that it links to the Ministry of Education in terms of higher education, but also at least from a TVET perspective. So we've been able to match that across the entire week, and again, just bringing different partners and seeing how we can be able to explore this. Again, this is possibly our inaugural or first edition of Innovate Kenya. For those of you who follow me or know me, you know I worked at the county government of Nairobi, and we did a similar platform in 2023. We were calling it Innovate Nairobi. Again, the platform was to see how we can able to bring innovation and entrepreneurs into county government operations. So this is just an expanded version of that, not just focusing on Nairobi, but looking at all counties possibly, as well as national government. So hopefully by the time we're done, again we can be able to get very tangible outcomes, very tight stakeholders that we can go to the counties and start having the same conversation. So we already we've already reached out to a number of counties, at least around 10 sample counties that are ready to partner, they are ready to go. So we needed to just have this conversation and see then who is willing. Okay, not everyone is willing. I mean, we have fed, and for those of us who've been in the development space, not in the development space, we can see what to understand. I mean, so development money driving the ecosystem is not sustainable. So again, we could have decided, let's go look for development money, fill this room, get people going, but then nothing happens. So we are very deliberate in terms of the way we've designed and this platform. It's a local platform, it's a platform that is driving entrepreneurs at the heart. And again, we are looking for, even within government, people who can act. So we don't just want a big speech for the sake of it. We are bringing technical people within national government as well as counties who are the operational people who make things work. So that's the type of conversations that we want to have. I mean, very easy, very chill conversation, almost like sitting the way you sit in December in a village somewhere with the firewood and nyamachoma and mahindi choma, whatever you like, and having a conversation. It is in those conversations that you really get insights and you're able to really be able to reach the meat of issues. Yeah, so I mean that's my our opening introduction, opening remarks about this thing. So karibuni sana, and again, feel welcome. There's tea. There's a small restaurant on the side if you feel you want to take coffee or tea. Bei ni mwananchi, so again that is by design. We don't want to give you tea for 1,000 shillings and say sisi ni masoko. Asante sana. So welcome the moderator. I would welcome Jim.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Victor. We know it is not easy to organize forums like this. We know it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of partnership management, and so thank you for inviting us to be a part of this conversation with you. My name is Jennifer Otieno. I'm also an Otieno, but a different Otieno. He's not my Otieno. My Otieno is a different Otieno. But I'm the co-founder and CEO of EdTech East Africa. We are a community of EdTech innovators and enablers working together to try and improve education powered by technology in Kenya, but across the region through partnerships as well. So we began our discussions in a conversation similar to what we're having today. Just a few people in the room here in Nairobi in 2014. So last year we celebrated a decade of collaboration and working together to improve education. And I'm very happy to say that we now are working through partnerships in Rwanda, in Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, and working to help them strengthen their local ecosystems and strengthen the learnings that can happen between Kenya and our other neighbors in the region. And I will say, I've just come from Rwanda, sitting alongside our partners there, and they're all looking to you here in Kenya to set the path for them. They see how much innovation is coming from Kenya, and they are looking to build their ecosystems in the same way and be able to collaborate more effectively. And so I think, you know, we really are quite privileged to have a strong ecosystem here in Kenya that really is working collaboratively. We don't do this alone, of course. We are also a partnerships-first organization, so we work very closely with other ecosystem builders, like iHub, who helps to run the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship, Metis Collective, which focuses on empowering local leaders to transform education, and a number of others. So while we are standing here today, please know that we also represent all of those other partners with whom we collaborate. Today we wanted to start by showing you some of the innovation that's happening here in Kenya. So we'll have a conversation, we'll get to hear from 5 amazing organizations who are doing incredible work. They'll share a bit about their innovations. We'll go through these pretty quickly. As you can imagine, we're a little bit behind time, so we'll try to accelerate the pace a little bit. But as we go through those conversations, please do be noting down your questions, your feedback. I think one of the most powerful things about community is that we can be critical friends to each other. Meaning, when you sit in the audience, it's not just to listen. It is about thinking about how can I challenge this organization to look at their work through a different lens. It's about how can I ask them a question that might change the way that they're thinking about their work. How can I think about who I might connect them to that can help drive their work forward? What doors can I open for them? So as you sit and listen, please do be thinking critically and actively about what can I do to support this entrepreneur, their organization, to help them further the work that they're doing. After we go through those demos, we're going to have a conversation about what we've heard. So we'll have an opportunity to reflect. We have an amazing panel here today who will be able to share some of their thoughts, their reflections on what they've heard from the innovators, but also on their own experiences working in this ecosystem and saying what more is needed to more effectively prepare our young people for the future ahead. Patrick and I were sitting in the back of the room talking about this very fast-changing world. You've heard Victor mention, we have changes in the economy and development sector. We have climate. We have, healthcare. We have lots of challenges that are facing our world. Not just jobs. Yes, that's one of the key things that we as an education community are thinking about. How do we prepare young people so that they can be employed, they can have dignified livelihoods? But also, we need thinkers. We need leaders who are going to address these big global challenges. And we need people who are ready to adapt and be able to change the way that they work, the way that they live, so that they can thrive in the new world that is coming our way. So we have big goals. We have big problems to solve. And the way that we think about this is that there's no single actor who's going to do this by themselves. This is why we're a community. This is why we have to work together, each of us contributing our strengths, our passions, our ways of working to be able to do this collectively and make the kind of big changes we want to make. So thank you to all of you for being a part of the conversation today. We're really excited to hear from you, to learn with you. We're going to start with our first demo. So I'm going to welcome up, Brian from Ekitabu. Come on up. He's going to do our first demo. We're going to give you about 10 minutes. We're going to go quickly, and then we will just cycle through. We've got 5 amazing organizations. So I'm going to let Brian introduce himself and the work that Ekitabu is doing.
Thank you, Jane. Hey, everyone. Hope you're having a good morning. I'm Brian Akina, and I work with Ekitabu. It should be around my 8th year. And we really help in creating accessible materials. And this is really for schools and for educational purposes. So for today, I'll be walking you guys through one of our innovations. That's from Studio KSL. I'll be taking you guys through what the innovation exactly is, what's the product, what's the main problem around that we're actually trying to solve. So I hope this will really be a good experience for you. So Studio KSL at Ekitabu, this is deaf-led and women-led. Of course, I'm not a woman. But our founder is Virginia Nauma. She's deaf, and she has an experience as a teacher. She developed deafness through her educational experience. And from that, she has actually been able to steer us as a company into making sure we're able to get into some of the problems. The main business is to develop sign language videos, and also making sure that we really have evidence of impact that we're able to enhance or advance inclusive education across Africa. Why sign language videos? So we mainly only focus on young learners at early childhood, and there's a big actually run. So the first thing actually most of us actually do without actually realizing is acquiring language from the time we actually born. So we actually have learners who are deaf, born deaf, or acquired deafness through different experiences. And it is through developing sign language videos that we're actually being able to see that actually creates an impact or a learning impact. And developing sign language videos is not it, but we also need to get evidence of how that impact is actually working. So, next slide. So if today all of us would be deaf, then you will realize some of the challenges. Number one, how you go to communicate would be a challenge. So globally, we have about 34 million. This is a report from 2019. We have 34 million children who are actually deaf worldwide. You'd think the percentage of maybe those who are deaf who are able to access, sign language at a very young age would be a big proportion, but no. We have about 98% of 34 million who are not able to access or don't actually have sign language at an early childhood. That's a big problem. It's a big problem because that deprives them or actually limits how they're able to acquire literacy. And literacy is a key part in how we're able to develop in different other aspects of life. Language is one thing. Socially, cognitive capabilities, and also how we're able to connect with others emotionally. Those are very key aspects. So this is a problem we're really trying to solve. Making sure that access, learners are able to actually access sign language and able to use that to develop themselves in other areas of life. So what's our solution? The solution is digital storytime. Just go ahead and take it.
Hello children, it's digital story time. Today we will read interesting stories for PP1, PP2 learners and can be enjoyed by everyone. Each story has a title, the story, questions, and new words. Watch and enjoy. Welcome.
Chicken and Millipede, an African storybook by Winnie Asara and Margaret Brink. Chicken and Millipede were friends.
Anyone in the room who knows sign language? Anyone? No one. So what you just watched, that is one of the big videos of the digital storytime. And then I request you to go back, previous slide. Previous. I think you can stay there. Next. So what you just watched is a sign language video for young learners, okay? And we made it category learners at early childhood, so that they would develop their language at a particular age. Now we realized that being able to have them in a storytelling enriched way, that actually makes them to stay motivated. We really want to tap into that engagement bit. And one of the things also noticed from that particular video, the lady who started off that was Virginia, but we also work with deaf and fluent signers. So the gentleman who was signing there is actually deaf. And that actually, the kids actually able to know that there's just a way, it's kind of speaking of accents. And so that's kind of the key factors when we create this sign language videos. So the digital storytelling itself as a product is a collection of all those types of videos. And so far we've been able to read about 352 books, storybooks out of it. We pick from the stories and we adapt them, working of course with DPOs, government institutions, and how to create these particular materials so they're actually free and easily to be used on devices. We've also been working with deaf, especially signers who are actually working with us. Also, we've created content in different African sign language videos. sign languages, sorry. That includes Ethiopian sign language, Malawian, also Tanzanian sign language, Zanzibar sign language, Rwanda sign language as well. I've also been able to train 16 deaf teachers so that they're able to know how to use these materials in a classroom. So the teachers are really important in that particular aspect. And so far we've been able to 12 maybe plus across all the different schools across the networks. So how does our product really work? From the start, our teachers, we really designed with teachers. They are part of our big group of users, also the learners as well. But teachers really help us in understanding the main challenges of the ground. So these kind of challenges in terms of how to access the materials, because in schools, majorly working with teachers, we provide these materials in a free way through TVs and also any material that we have within the schools. Anything that is offline is actually able to support this. The materials we actually develop, which are the sign language videos, we try to make sure that those are free and accessible in any kind of platform. Speak of YouTube, speak of also our KD network, we have all those materials available. Of course, at the end of the day, we really want to know if this is really impactful. So the data we actually get from the devices and also just from the learners, that's really important for us to know which areas we need to really improve on, and also on assessment. We do assessment at particular periods, working with schools, to gauge on using the baseline and end-line assessments to know the learning gains. So before you play, we have been trying to improve on other areas. Teachers have been sharing with us feedback, like, hey, you guys have a really good product, but we need more videos. We need more sign language materials for our learners, because they really love this kind of content. So, of course, with some partnerships, but also working through on the MasterCard fellowship program. We've also been trying to add more videos that are more engaging, but also we are doing something more interesting. So initially, we didn't really have image descriptions on the sign language videos, and why is that important? It's important so that even if you're blind, a learner who's blind, they can still hear the audio. You've seen illustrations on the particular video. If you don't really mention anything about it, it will be missed. So you can go ahead and play this.
Page 2. An image of a boy on a wheelchair on the veranda happily eating a ripe banana. Ungo is eating a banana.
So that's an example of now what you're adding. So a typical sign language video has the story bit, it has questions, it has new words, which actually help the learners to learn these new words.
Page 2. An image of a boy on a wheelchair on the...
You can go to the next slide, please. So we'll be trying to create more sign language videos, but also something else is we've now been able to work on a new app, and this new app will be a house for these sign language videos. And this app, of course, will be free, and it will be majorly kid friendly. We've been able to work through iHub through the MasterCard fellowship program. I want to enable a personalized learning experience. So that means a learner can just be able to, within few clicks, they can go to access what kind of video they actually want to view. Also, we're actually working on how to include quizzes. And then please next. So we're also adding in quizzes. This is just more of a fun experience. We don't really want to see how to gauge their understanding or comprehension. So we're actually adding more types of quizzes into the app, and that will actually help the learners into understanding. So far, as part of some additional success stories we're really proud of, since last year, we've got to work with 12 more schools, and of course a number of 600 plus learners. Since last year, we also had most of these videos getting more viewership on our KD network. Teachers have really been incredible supporting us, so we still work with more teachers to get more within our community. And one of the big next step also is we're really proud that we also got a partnership through the project on Globe So that really helped us to make sure that sign language can get accessed, making people get evidence-based out of that. I would like to end there, and if there are any questions, I think you can take them. Thank you so much.
I love how you also talk about all of the young people that you're employing through this work as well. So we're having benefits for young people, we're having benefits for the learners themselves, and of course when we talk about empowering young people, we mean all young people, right, for the future. And this is a really important way for us to understand how can we use technology to make sure that our learners with disabilities are actually a part of that future that we're building for Kenya. So thank you to Ekitabo, to Studio KSL for the incredible work you guys are doing. If you have thoughts for Brian, please jot them down. As I said, we're going to keep moving, but please make sure that you connect with them afterwards and ask them your questions, give them your feedback. But for now, we're going to keep going. Louis from ZZ, you're up next. Louis is going to introduce the great work that they are doing.
Louis Njoroge is my name. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mzizi, where for we who are Kenyan would know Mzizi is root. For us, it symbolizes our growth with schools and primarily the digitization journey of schools and empowering the future. So we have seen that through studies that schools that are not well managed primarily would have a very high dropout rate of students. And this is one of the core problems that was actually exhibited during COVID, where schools would actually render closed down because of not having operational processes that would enable them go through learning even while students were at home. And further to it, we've also seen that around 35% of school heads are actually struggling with institutional efficiency due to a lot of manual processes within schools, as well as the overwhelming burden of non-teaching services. And this in itself then takes out time that is expected for teachers into teaching. It takes out time that is expected by management running the school and making the institutions efficient for the next generation. So for us at Mzizi, basically we work to see that we are able to provide transformative education, and this is through an inclusive learning ecosystem, so that then we're able to empower students, engage parents, and impact the community. And so from this, we have been able to continuously invest in our customer by being customer-centric, by being innovative, and through the teamwork that we have within our company, we've been able to continuously innovate and provide very solid solutions for our customers. And these solutions come in 3 layers. The first one is the Mzizi ERP, which is an operating system for schools. It gives them the capability to automate all curriculums within the school cultures. So we deal with colleges, universities, K-12, and all institutional learning. And from here, the organizational, administrative, and operational processes are embedded. And it's in this that then we have extended services through our ecosystem to give students the ability to actually learn from home through partners, having parents involved in the affairs of the child without actually having to go to the school itself. And then finally, we have the Mzizi Pay, which for us has become another solution to enable parents actually school now, pay later, with bank partners and also ecosystem partners within the fintech space to see that every child is in school when they are needed to be in school. Within our market, out of the 88,000 schools there are about in Kenya, we are looking at 10,000 to which we are already working towards, with a 1.9 billion of funded stream. This is primarily by parents and by the government being a big investor in the education space. So today, our services have seen over 90,000 students, 80,000 to 90,000 students who have effectively been empowered, and over 300 schools utilizing our services to see that they are efficient in their everyday of operations. And further to it, we've actually seen a reduction in time within our institutions. from 150 man-hours lost by teachers and operational processes in them to a reduction to less than 5 hours because the system has actually relieved of the duties that will then be required to be done manually. For us, we work within a model to which the acquisition of our licenses are subscription-based, and here we would have customers acquire the enterprise license, which is the operating system in schools. We have a software as a service license, which is literally an entry-level license, to see that a school with a minimum of even 20 students can actually afford the service. The Mzizi Engage, which is an engagement layer, and the Mzizi Pay, which is the financial layer. And when we look at our customer base, primarily a school owner or a director or a principal in this case will be literally invested in the child learning time. How do they increase the child learning time? And so Mzizi comes in to ensure that we are investing in this learning time for this school owner or for this principal. As well, we look at a parent who is literally investing in education for the future of their child. So the question there is, how then does this technology come in to ensure that the child is empowered, and where there is a lackishness in learning and understanding of content or material, we then provide material accessible to them in the process of learning. Besides myself, I do have a team that we work with, my business partner Simon, and we have continuously been recognized to offering the best of services within this space as well. And with the most recent being in the EdTech Connect Summit, the Connected Africa Summit 2024. And this has continuously motivated us towards the builder. And so so we would literally invest in or request you to join us in this journey, and we're really appreciative of your listening to it. We are working the journey of innovating for Africa in the education space. Thank you very much.
You can see for many of our solutions, they're not really about the tech. It is about what the tech can help us do. So in the case of Studio KSL, it's really about how can we make sure we're serving all of our learners. In this case with Mzizi, it's about how do we engage parents, how do we engage school leaders, how do we remove barriers to really focusing on great learning experiences for young people. So technology becomes the enabler of creating really powerful, inclusive, effective education. So thank you so much, Louis, for sharing the Mzizi journey. Next up, we're going to have Phoebe. Phoebe's back there. Phoebe from Fundis. Phoebe's going to talk to us a little bit about the work that they're doing as we now come to the end of, not the end of the learning journey, further in the learning journey as we start to think about the transition from education to employment and lifelong learning. So Phoebe, over to you.
Hello everyone. It's good to see you this morning. I'm Phoebe Mbede from Fundis. I'm the head of operations. And basically Fundis is an additional talent platform that assesses, upskills, and certifies trade workers for job matching and job improvement. So that's what we do at Fundis, and we have been in the industry for the past 5 years. And why did we venture into EdTech? It's because in 2022, 60 Decibel did a very good research on us. And this research was basically looking at how many trade workers in Kenya have formal education and certification. And we realized out of every 10 trade workers they were talking to, only one had a formal certification. And these were people we were engaging in, these were people who were doing work with us, and even other platforms and other works in the country. And Fundis ended up, with the development of our EdTech part, can you pause? Thank you. On the development of our EdTech side of the platform, remember Fundis match for work for our trade workers. But from this research, and some of us might remember, or some of us might know that Kenya just passed the RPL policy. And we thought of it, and we felt through this policy, how can we come up with a framework that is the same as the RPL framework to assess our artisans on our platform, to upskill our artisans, and even to certify them. The first key entry point of our artisans on our platform is assessment. Why do we assess them? We want to understand where are they in their skills and how can we capture the gaps that they are experiencing and even get them into certification. When you look on your screen, you will see our assessment process. It's very simple, a 3-step process where an artisan will start with their oral assessment. So this is where they get to interface with assessors online for 1 hour oral assessment where an assessor assesses different kinds of skills, communication skills. How do they carry themselves? How do they conduct themselves? And how do they understand their space? The next assessment will be the theory assessment. This is purely linked with what they are doing around their areas of work. Then the practical assessment, because we want to understand practically how do they do their work. All these assessments were being done physically before we moved them to our platform. We went through a lot of challenges such as high cost, bringing 100, 200 people together for just an assessment, since we needed to partner with institutions such as NITA and Kiti Nakuru, which were very instrumental. But how do you do assessment to these people at the same time and they want to go to work? This is why we moved our assessment on our platform. On the platform, the assessment has been very easy. Artisans conduct the assessment at their own pace. They will book schedules at their own time. They will want to do it at night, during the day, in between their working hours, which is very convenient for them. And this is how our assessment looks like on our platform. I'll just give you a minute to see how that looks like. So for now, we are using multiple choices. I think it was easier for us because for theory, where you answer, you write your answers, we need to train AI to do that. It's work in process, it's still a journey. Immediately they submit their results, they get to get their theory results instant. For the oral assessment, as I had said, you'll book for 1 hour session with an assessor. Our assessors are RPL certified assessors, which again we are working with institutions that are already there to at least onboard assessors who are certified to do this work. Very simple scheduling process for an artisan, not too much complication. They can schedule for a week later, they can schedule it for now, for today. It's a very easy process of scheduling. And after they have booked, remember I've just talked about the assessment side of an artisan. This artisan interfaces with an assessor. So we needed to have the assessor side of the platform where these assessors are getting to see the artisans who have scheduled for assessments and even their practical uploads that they have done. On the practical side, I know people have been wondering, how does an artisan do practical assessment on a platform? It's very easy. All our artisans are doing their works in their day-to-day. And that's why we had to use the recognition of prior learning framework. It's because we are saying these people are not new in the industry. They already have skills and experience. So they can showcase the kind of work they are already doing. So they will pick a question that matches probably a task that is coming up. Maybe a job they got that is coming up. When they book for an assessment, a practical assessment, they will simply, after they have picked the question, They will upload videos and pictures of the job they did, and an assessor on the other side of the platform will be able to see, the kind of work they have done and the skills practically as they had done at their jobs. So basically, that's our assessment side or the artisans side of the platform. On the artisan side of the platform, we are giving this a period of 2 weeks from when an artisan comes in, starts the assessment, to the last day they are done with the assessment, and they get a proper report from an assessor of where they are. So we have divided this into 3 levels. We have an artisan at level 1, 2, or 3, where this helps us to gauge who can we give a job without supervision, who can we give what kind of a job, and who still needs what kind of support from fundis. So that's how a report will go to an artisan. They are able even to interpret the report themselves and even understand the recommendations they are getting from an assessor. We have also prepared them to at least get to understand how this report flows. So it's not supposed to be something very complicated to someone in the informal sector. Then we will look at the assessor's platform. It's very simple. An assessor comes in. We take their profiles. Yes, we work so much in partnerships, but we also want to see how many assessors do we have. Currently, I know we understand that we have very few assessors who are RPL certified. This is also an opportunity to see how many assessors do we have, a way of us collecting data and information on how many assessors in the space that are there. So we will collect their profiles after they have gone through other processes on the Fundis platform. Then they will be able to look at an assessment checklist. So this assessment checklist helps them to understand how to assess. What are the do's, what are the don'ts, how do they assess each and every area of the platform. After this, you will see their scheduling process, how that looks like, because we are appreciating that when the assessors are coming in, it's not that they are only doing these assessments on our platform. They are also doing their own other works, which are their day-to-day trainings and classwork that they run. So they will be able to pick schedules that are fitting them. They'll be able to assess an artisan on our platform, and they'll be able to give them results. The last thing that we do on our platform is the upskilling. So the continuous upskilling, I know that will come later. The continuous upskilling on our platform is, remember, artisans were graded when they came in. So they will be thrown on the side of upskilling, on the area that the gaps the assessor has put in place. And on the upskilling side, an artisan is sent to the areas that they have needs and concerns. They will have their continuous learning sessions where they can do either audio listening, videos, or even read for those who are able to read. We did all these with the consideration that we wanted to capture all the skills areas on the informal sector. We wanted to capture all the marginalized young people outside there who probably haven't gone to school and who probably have never gotten an opportunity to be in a classroom. I know Jennifer said time is up, but thank you so much. Just my last call is we are improving the platform. At the end, you will see a QR code scanner. Kindly scan our platform, check it out, give us reviews, and we are looking for more partners to work with. Thank you.
I had a chance to share some of this work at a recent summit we held in Mombasa as well, at the Pwani EdTech Summit. And she was given a lot of excited credit by the Ministry of Education for integrating the recognition of prior learning. So, making sure that really you're collaborating with government, knowledge and working off of their frameworks. Exciting. One of the things that I love about this is that we're not just collecting assessment data for its own sake, but rather you're giving feedback directly to the young people about where they stand, what they need to do to continue to improve their performance, and you're providing access to those opportunities as well. So a really amazing platform, continuing to do great work. So thank you so much, Phoebe. We're going to stay in the talent space, the sort of skilling, but we're going to transfer ourselves from working with artisans to now tech talent. Shadrach from CodeSkill is going to tell us a little bit about the work that they've been doing to help build technical skills for tech talent within Kenya. So over to you, Shadrach. Yeah.
My name is Shadrach. I'm the founder and CEO of CodeSkill. And CodeSkill is simply a platform that allows budding students and university graduates to learn the technical skills that are needed in the current job market. And the reason we came up with this is because I am personally a software engineer, and I did not learn software engineering from the traditional university, although I did get a degree in IT. That's not how I ended up as one. I had to actually teach myself because there's a gap between what's currently being taught in the universities and what the actual job market needs. And a lot of people usually come to this realization soon after they graduate. They have to now enroll into these different boot camps. They have to enroll into online courses just to try and get the skill that they hoped university would have equipped them for. And so this is the reason that we came up with CodeSkill, to solve this exact problem. So that's that, and this problem is not faced just by me, it's faced by thousands of students, and specifically students who've undertaken computer science or IT or any of the technical courses that they hope will help them get a job in future. So our solution is a platform called CodeSkill, and through it we use AI-driven tutors to basically upskill these students and basically teach them the exact course that they need to be able to land a job. Locally, we've been able to reach students who, most of them, the main problem that they're facing is, for some of them, a CS degree is inaccessible, mainly because it's expensive. For some of them, they didn't get the prerequisite requirements to actually join university and take this degree. But through our platform, they're able to actually do this. And on the screen is one such example. This is John, he's from Moranga. He had started computer science, but he had to drop out after 2 years because the school fees simply became too much for him. So when he joined our platform about 3 months ago to learn front-end engineering, and since then he's been able to actually use our platform to complete his front-end engineering course, and has actually begun getting gigs as a freelance front-end developer. So he's one of the main success stories that we've had in just the few months we've been in operation. We also have another example from Mombasa, and this is Tom. His case is also similar. However, he's different in that he wanted to learn, he joined university to learn aerospace engineering, but he later discovered, like so many students, that was not his passion, and he in fact wanted to shift to tech, but now he's already in the system and it's difficult. So he's one of the other students who've used our platform to be able to basically upskill himself and get the skills needed. And as a matter of fact, he's been able to complete learning on the platform, and he's joined our company as an intern, and he's currently been working with us to develop new features for similar students such as himself. So this is just some of the impact that CodeSkill has had, and we hope that with your support and the people in this room, we can be able to have different partnerships and investments that can be able to help us develop our product further and be able to reach even bigger markets, because the problem that we are solving is not just a local problem. We've been able to get very strong interest from West African countries such as Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Tanzania. So we've gathered that this is a continental problem, that there's a lot of students on the continent who want to acquire digital skills so that they can earn a living and be able to outsource their skills to the global market, because most of the countries face the problem of having no jobs for the youthful population. So our vision of the future is we want to grow beyond just AI for personalized courses, for technical courses. We want to get to the point where there's an AI tutor for every student, because one of the biggest problems that we want to solve with AI is basically we want to create, to enable the teachers work with the student in the language of the student, because most of the times the education that we get is one size fits all, but with AI we're able to actually personalize it to the level whereby every student can actually get personalized and tailored education that understands them and meets them at their level, rather than having them stretch to the level where they're currently not able to do that. We're also looking to expand AI to all subjects beyond the technical courses. We want to go into other STEM subjects. We want to put AI in schools and science-based curriculums. We want to put it under mathematical curriculums. And we also, lastly, want to translate AI into local languages, because one of the biggest gaps we are seeing is, first of all, students have to be computer savvy to benefit from AI, and secondly, they have to understand English. So we want to lower this barrier to as much as possible, to a point whereby even a student can talk in their native language and the AI can understand them, and it can still be able to deliver the education in the same global quality to them in their local language. So that's our vision of the future, and we hope that with the people in this room, we can establish meaningful partnerships and get investment that can actually help us take this vision to the world. So our website is called skill.xyz. So at your own time, just you can check it out. And my name is Shadrach again. You can reach me at shadrach@skill.xyz. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shadrach. Before I came to Kenya about 10 years ago, I had the privilege of working in the tech education space. And it's such a fast-evolving space. And it is a lot of work to build the capacity of young people to be able to do this kind of work. Again, as we think about the future of Kenya, we don't want it being designed by other people, right? We want it to be designed by our local developers who are designing AI with us in mind, with our citizens, our learners, our teachers. And so the work you're doing to help make sure that's possible is really important. So thank you so much for sharing that. Next up is Kurasa. So William is going to come and tell us a little bit about the work that Kurasa is doing now, again, to empower teachers and educators with the data they need in order to be able to support learners more effectively using most primarily formative assessments. We all know this is a key part of CBC and the transition we're making away from high-stakes testing to being able to use data in real time to make sure learning is working and to make sure that it's serving all of our young people. So thanks, William, and over to you.
So William is my name, just like you had, and we are Kurasa Africa. Kurasa Africa is on a mission to empower educators, which is teachers, and that's the primary person that we're working for. And this is inspired by the idea that for all the edtech that we can employ, the only thing that makes a difference in a learner is a teacher, an actual teacher. And all of us have an experience about this. And if in most homes in Kenya, back then, our parents, either you had one teacher parent or two teacher parents. That's either they were teachers before they transitioned to any other career, or they're still teachers. Some have now retired, like now my parent. And we have a saying, we say, shule ni mwalimu. Shule ni mwalimu. So we have demystified that there is no school without a teacher. And the teacher is the only memory of the school that learners will retain. So the problem that we have in Kenya, and we define it as a low achievement, low student achievement. Basically, when you look at the end of basic education, you have more than half not being able to qualify to higher institutions of learning, and we still have a lot of stigma for our achievements. So they end up being looked down upon as low achievement. Still, the system continues to produce this low achievement, and we attribute this mostly to lack of data, lack of continuous follow-up in the classroom, lack of being able to tell if learning is going on, and so we have this fixation of summative exams and we've not had a major exam within CBC, and now we want to see how it is going to go in KJSR this year. Hopefully we don't have to go back to that over-fixation of exam. We have a major exam, because this is then what converts our culture into exam-oriented, and we only care about doing exams, but nothing about what happens in the classrooms. So this lack of data means that, let's move. So we estimate about 12,000 shillings lost per teacher every term due to poor practices, poor learning, poor formative practices. This is calculated based on the amount of time that it will take them to do the right thing, if they actually did it. So 12,000 shillings every term, you lose it. So in a year, a teacher is losing about 36,000. That's about close to $300 a year. When you multiply that by the number of teachers, you have a figure that's astronomical. And that's just the time cost. We still have a failure cost in our education system, because when students don't achieve their dreams, there's a failure cost which is reflected in the general economy. So when we have poor formative practices, they tend to be untimely. So we have to wait until the end of a season for us to know what actually is the status of our learning and teaching. It's also inaccurate, because then we can't use it to inform teaching and learning. Most of the times you have to transition learners into the next year, or sometimes into the next learning outcomes, which is the next step, because we only have time to just keep covering. And yet we have a lot of time with these learners in the course of the term. And also it's ineffective, so it's untimely, it's inaccurate and ineffective. And this is something that the government saw and introduced this formative practice in the new curriculum in 2017. And you can see on the right side, I have put in a teacher, that's a hard-working teacher, who writes down all the learners and has a legend and follows through every learning outcome, how they are performing. And this is data they're supposed to keep up with. Let's move. So we designed a product, and this product is supposed to work on mobile phones, on low internet scenarios, and teachers use it across public and private schools. And also we have parents. Now we have introduced a place where parents can also follow up with these learning outcomes as teaching is ongoing during the term. And so the timing is one, like I said, CBC being introduced. It sparked a lot of national debate about education, which is good. We never used to have it. Definitely it has a challenge where it gets politicized at some point, and there's all this debate of going back, and it's sometimes not constructive. And the second reason is with COVID-19 and with all these new disasters that we're having, including floods. Even now, yesterday they reported a few classes had to be had on-site because of this rain damage. So again, that also creates the need for technology to have the case where you can have learning continue despite difficult natural disasters or sometimes even conflict. Let's move. So far we've reached over 50,000 learners with about 3,600 teachers that we're working with. So this is both in private and public schools. And right now we track our progress by the data points, and this is on formative practices. And this is very important data that has been used even now to predict summative performance and to inform learning as teaching is going on. Okay, let's move. Sorry. So this is a journey. In our 4-year journey, we launched in 2020, late 2020, more end of 2021, end of 2020, beginning 2021, and we've been proud to partner with a lot of the organizations you see there. And I just wanted to mention, just go back. Yeah, so last year we crossed the 100 schools mark. That's been a long journey to cross the 100 schools mark. And we are hoping that this year we can move to 100,000 students, which is just a 2x growth on our curve. So that's myself, William, CEO, and that's Daniel, that's my co-founder who does technology. Yeah, thanks, that's it.
They have a very big fan club, which is wonderful, and they've done an incredible job, not just designing for teachers, but really involving teachers in every step of their journey and really keeping them at the center of the work that they're doing. So let's give Kurasa, William, one more round of applause, please. So you've heard about a few amazing innovations today. Some of those are focused on educators, so educators both in schools but also in homes as we think about the work of Mzizi. We've got innovations focused on learners, so we've heard from Studio KSL about inclusive education. We've heard about learners that are making transitions to job markets, both artisans and tech talents. You can see there's lots of different pieces to this puzzle. Right? There's lots of different parts of this journey where different amazing innovations are happening to create more positive outcomes for young people. And so I would love to just one more round of applause for all of our innovators and the incredible work that they're doing. It is not easy to build these companies, to build these platforms, to make them work for all of the learners and teachers that we're trying to solve for. We're going to take a step back now from the innovations themselves into thinking about, so what needs to be true for us to make that innovation possible? How do we think about innovation within the broader system? What needs to happen in order for us to be able to create more innovations within Kenya, be able to help those innovations thrive, as Victor said, to take those innovations to scale. So we're going to have a small discussion here.
Getting to that point is also another step, because I think the biggest question for us has always been, how do they know we are here? And how do they know we are solving this challenge for them? And I think it's not only us, it's all startups who are here will raise the same concern. How does Mzizi, Mzizi say, we are solving this for you guys? Before, them just realizing we are there. And I think he talked about collaboration and partnerships. And one key thing I would say, most of our solutions, we are building them by ourselves. The moment we are outside there, it's when people realize, oh, you guys are outside here. You have been solving this. It was interesting that we were in one of the EdTech festivals. And we have been preaching, we are doing this amazing thing for Tibet, SIDAC, and they have done this. And one of them came to me and said, wait, here is my number. Look for us. Because we have been looking for this, and we didn't know it was outside there. So I think there is already that huge gap. How do we put ourselves outside there? And I don't think it's something I will be able to answer. Maybe the great people in this panel will be able to give. Yeah.
So now I have an additional question. So should EdTech companies then, or innovators, let's just call ourselves innovators, be showcasing in different forums? Like, why isn't private sector here? Like, whoever your customers are, why aren't they invited to these forums to also participate? Because I don't know if I've ever seen Institute of HR Professionals or something, right? Food for thought. Anyone have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to echo what she said, that collaborative arrangement between the private sector and other sectors, government included, I think that would start exposing what some of those nice products I was listening very carefully. And as you say, some you are saying, oh, this can be applied here and there, but no one knows, because the startups, the private sector, speaking to one another and sharing your experiences, but the consumer is out there. The consumer could be other private practitioners, could be government. So there needs to be a deliberate effort for people who are in the startup ecosystem to start to look for forums to showcase more.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you for a fact, from what I've listened, I'm already saying this one can work here, can work there, or can be reconfigured to work somewhere. So I think
at the back of our mind as we do startups, then that's who is my audience? Where do I want to showcase? So that we don't just talk very nicely to ourselves.
Like I said, I think there should be a deliberate effort from all circles, from us as technology companies, and also from the private sector. I mean, for example, I saw a booth for capture here, yeah, but of course I don't see them in the room. But how do we make sure that our voices are heard in those spaces? Which means we have an opportunity to knock to places that are written no entry aggressively. Yeah? Because that's the only way in which our voices can get heard. If we brought on board the group from Capture, they would definitely talk a lot about whatever they are doing to support innovations by young people. The same case within our universities, we have innovation hubs, but is it enough? Yesterday, the group from the Association of Startups Kenya was here as well as enablers of small, medium enterprises. So something is already happening, but the buck stops with us. Continuously and aggressively finding ways to make sure that our voices are heard, so that we can get more investments coming to us, because we are actually solving problems that are within the industry.
So it's true we are funded, but the private sector pays for everything that involves their bit. So they pay school fees for the apprentices, they pay the stipends for the apprentices, so they really fully show up and play their role. So again, I think the starting point is, do we have the right skill sets and understanding of private sector, how they think, how they operate, how they prioritize, and what is dear to them, right? So from my past experience, so most of our team have a private sector background. We all started off in the private sector. So that's a very important skill set that we bring to the work that we do, primarily because we look at private sector as the key drivers of innovation, the key drivers of the societal change that we want to see. So developers need to come to a level where they are able to shift out of the developer mindset and become a business developer or a private sector and think from the private sector's point of view. You shouldn't create a product and have to persuade them that it is their problem. It is the other way around. That let me understand you better. Where are you losing money? And what is really very dear to you? What is painful? As a business, where are your biggest risks? As a player in the education space, what is a threat to your existence? And I'm going to innovate around a solution that can keep you in business. When you come at it from that perspective, it's very easy to bring private sector to the table. For the private sector we're working with, for many of them, it was the difference between winning a contract or not because of quality. Quality was the key decider here. If your quality doesn't go up, if your workmanship remains mediocre, you're not going to stay competitive. And therefore, it was a very easy choice for them to make to come to the table. So I think it is how you position your offering and addressing it very succinctly to the pain of private sector.
So my last question to all of you, since we're in a tech for education, is what's one major shift you hope to see in sort of how tech plays a role in this conversation, and particularly when it comes to higher ed, like the flow of the human being, and now they're in higher ed, into the workforce to continuous learning. How do you sort of see technology there playing a role there, and particularly the major shift you hope to see? Because we know what's there right now, but what major shifts do you hope to see within that process?
Yes, so when I think about the current education system we have, I think it has still lots of challenges, and that's why you're seeing solutions that are, again, building the skill sets of our young people within university. You've seen core skill, you've heard about Moringa and others. So I think it goes back to the university system and how best our lecturers within the universities are delivering the curriculum. So I think the university has to accept the fact that the lecturers cannot twist on their own. They need lots of support from the private sector, from education technologists, because if you're not able to integrate technology in Bachelors of Arts as a lecturer, then you're disadvantaging the students who's doing the Bachelor of Arts. Even thinking about all the other STEM-based courses, I believe there is an opportunity for our universities to make sure that it's possible for each of the learners to figure out how to integrate technology within their specific field, whether you're doing music or the arts or whichever thing that you're doing.
The developers are there, the policymakers are the other side, and everyone is saying we need to talk. I think moving forward, we need to take deliberate steps to make sure this discussion happens and is continuous and it is purposeful to find solutions, because technology is going nowhere. I can tell you one big problem we already have, especially in the higher education sector, the issue of AI. A few years ago, in the standards we use, we were very comfortable checking, for example, plagiarism using Turnitin and other old software. Now Turnitin becomes useless in the face of AI, so you can't tell whether this is original one of the student. And we need these minds. In fact, that's for us as a head. We need these minds to tell me how do I rephrase this standard to capture what I'm looking for. Because AI is not going anywhere. We just have to now leverage on AI. So, for me, technology is the future. Technology in education is the future. The question is, how do we make it part and integral of the entire system, from the time you develop a curriculum, from the time, through the design of the learning content, all the way to delivery. Because technology, now with technology, you have the flipped classroom, you have simulations of technical subjects, and that is the way to go. If we go back to our old ways, then we'll have to play catch up with technology for the longest time.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, I don't write anything about AI, so I'm not sure I check papers. Anything to add before we wrap up?
I think for me, I'm looking at majorly the private sector having a very good space in terms of technology in the near future. Why am I saying this? Look at how the CBC is looking like right now. So we are going to get at 18-year-old, a young person has finished their, I don't know which level now that is, but they have finished that level and they already know what they want to do. So they have basic skills at that level, and now they want to get into the workspace, where now they're going into these private sectors, but there is still a gap they want to still fill. And I feel these can only be filled by technology. Why am I saying this? I am let me not say a victim, a survivor of our education system. We survived. So you went to school, finished 5 years doing medicine, you didn't take it anywhere, right? But I had to go into these certificate courses where you are fighting online at night, you are in class, and during the day you are at work. But you are trying to bridge a gap that probably at some point it will have been filled if probably someone thought about us. And I feel technology is the way of filling this. I don't have to be put in a mindset that I only have to do electrical. I can still do electrical, plumbing, and masonry at the same time. So I'm a multi-purpose person. And this is what private sector is looking at. It's looking at, I'm not just offering one skills area. Oh, they decided. I'm not just offering one thing, but how am I becoming a resource into the company that I'm coming in? And I'm just seeing this being something that technology is the only thing that can offer, because it can help us, be multi-purpose, navigate different aspects. It's either through e-learning, it's either through virtual learning. I'm seeing like what Toolkit does. Virtually, we are now acquiring skills that are only offered in European countries and now can be trained here virtually. So I feel this also reduces, in terms of the government and other aspects of education, it reduces the resources that we keep on saying education is expensive. It helps us even cut the cost and achieve our end goal as a country. Those Vision 2030.
Perfect. So what I hear is education can sort of, if we look at the system holistically, come in and help us plug a lot of the gaps that we're currently trying to fill in more difficult ways.
Yeah, perhaps I would just add that thinking about the role of higher education in bringing a level ground, technology-wise, and bringing all young people along, we already have a huge youth unemployment problem, and that is the problem of our times. We should then be solving for the problems of tomorrow, which is now through education, through technology, and thinking a bit broader about what technology means to us, its policies, its hardware, its software. What do we need to be thinking about tomorrow's problems, and how do we all step up at the higher education level as one, but also as developers and business people. So I think taking, getting into what you call that machine, a time machine to the future, and walking backwards and seeing what should have happened in the past for us to be at that place in the future. And I can tell you that would radically shift a lot of things that we are doing now in the way we teach, in what we consider to be our learning locations. It is not only the university, the workplace is also a learning location. What are the other learning locations we could leverage to kind of put all young people on a fast track to jobs, to income, to meaningful life? And I think that is really the challenge of our times.
I love that. That's a good. We're solving for problems of now. By the time we solve them, will be the future. Dealing with those problems, so we're constantly playing catch up. That's a good parting shot and a good challenge for everyone. So I think my time is up. This was great. Thank you guys so much for being great and interacting.
Great. A lot of good thoughts about whose pain points are we really solving for, how do we get the right people in the room to help give the information that informs the solutions, that helps us work backwards from what we need to be doing when we're getting into the workforce, and then what needs to be happening from day one, right? When a child is born, what needs to be happening at home, what needs to be happening in our early learning spaces, our primary schools, our junior schools, our senior schools, all the way up to higher education. As you can hear from the panel discussion, lots of calls for collaboration, obviously, continuing to try to work together to solve some of these problems. This is one of the reasons that EdTech East Africa exists. We want to continue to have these conversations, create the forums where those discussions are happening. As you heard, we have EdTech summits, we have collaborators like iHub that hold EdTech festivals. There are lots of these conversations. We want to make sure those conversations stay connected and that we're not just having the same conversation over and over, but rather that we're using these conversations to catalyze movement. If you'd like to continue the conversation and you're not yet on EdTech Baraza, we have an online community where we do bring together lots of different types of stakeholders. So our innovators are there, but also we have policymakers, we have researchers, we have telcos, we have NGOs, we have lots of people contributing to the discussions there, trying to bring diversity to these conversations. We can probably nudge our partners in the private sector a bit more to get involved in those conversations based on the challenge that has been set for us in today's conversation. But we truly believe that this is something that is going to require all of us to be able to really push us forward and to solve this challenge of effective, inclusive, and resilient education for all. So I want to say thank you again to Esther as well, to our panelists. So please, thank you. Let's give them another round of applause. A huge thank you for that conversation. We are going to wrap up because we started late, we're ending late, so we're going to close our conversation here. But we do want to encourage you to continue the conversation, like I said, online. You just need to Google or whatever search platform you use. Look for EdTech Baraza. You'll find us there. And please do utilize this time. Find somebody in the room who you've not met, somebody who said something interesting that you'd like to follow up on. Offer them your support, offer them your critical feedback, as I said when we started the discussion. Give them some insights, make a connection, open a door. This is how we solve the problems together. So again, a huge thank you to our convener, Innovate Kenya, for giving us the space to have this conversation today. And we look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you. Thank you.